Now let's talk web hosting. So we got some HTML and some CSS. Now what? We need to get on the web, of course. But first, we need to get our own house in order, like Jon Snow here. We have to organize our files. So do we have all the files that we need? Are in the right folders? Do any of our pages have broken links? So we need to fix your images or other HTML pages if you have them. We'll talk about links between pages in a second. Links to style sheets if you have more than one style sheet, all that stuff. You got to organize that stuff now. Is the home page called index.html? In some cases, in more advanced programming, it's index.php. But for now, is your home page called index.html, not some other name? Make sure you check. If not, we'll have to do extra work with our URL, and I'll explain what that means later to show our website. So make sure your home page is index.html. So when you have hosting the normal way, you'll have a folder called public_HTML, which looks very familiar to you by now, because that's what I put each week's code in, a folder like that. And this is where your files and folders will end up when you upload them properly. And we'll talk about that again in a couple of minutes. And the contents of public_HTML are what are shown on the web, especially index.html, aka your home page. So when I have websites, I like to use this folder structure. If you've seen this already, a few folders, CSS, IMG, JavaScript. I also have a media folder if it's not something that's an image. So personal preference. You have to organize your files the way you want them. Depending on how you organize your folders, it impacts how your Ahref and src links are written. And one important note, your index.html for your home page must not be within a folder, a separate subfolder within public_HTML, or else a browser won't know where it is. So now let's get into some tech talk, some terms from the web. The first is file transfer protocol. So just a word about protocols. The web works on protocols. Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, allows web pages and images to be transferred from computer to computer or from server to client. So our laptops and our devices or phones, we're the clients, and then somewhere in the cloud are these files and they get served to our devices. And so the way they do this is through a transfer protocol called HTTP. HTTPS is the same, but with security. So you got an S to the end of it. So it's HTTPS. Most websites these days are secure HTTP. So you'll see that in the browser. There's usually like a lock icon or something. So that's how you know that's secure. There's something called Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP. This is how email moves around on the web. So those of you with smartphones, if you had to set up your email on your phone, you probably had to enter some kind of simple mail transfer protocol, some set of numbers. There's something called transmission control protocol. This is how often seen with internet protocol. So if you get into the settings of your browsers and your devices, you'll see a TCP/IP, and this is the basis for how the web generally works, in case you ever see it. FTP is how we can transfer files, upload and download from our local machine to the cloud where our web hosting is. So how do we actually upload through FTP? One is a software called CyberDuck. This is a Mac software for a file transfer protocol. You can also use FileZilla. It works the same. It's good for Macs or Windows. Or we could regular upload one file at a time, which could get kind of tedious if you have a lot of files. So it's generally encouraged to use something like CyberDuck or FileZilla to quickly move files up and down from your local to the cloud. Dreamweaver, if you use Dreamweaver, also has a built-in FTP client, but again, if you can avoid using Dreamweaver, I try to. So a few thoughts about URLs. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, which is a fancy term for a web address. So URL is based on three parts. One is the protocol, one's the server, and one's the path. So you already know what protocols are. Here is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The server is the part that comes after the two slashes. And then .NET here is the end of the server. And then the rest of it is the path. This is the path to the file. Again, protocol is HTTP or with the S for security. The server, or the domain name, is the website you're looking for. So something .com is a domain name. The top level domain is the .com or .org or .whatever part of the server. So in that case, it was .net. It could be all sorts of things now. They've branched out from .coms and .orgs and .nets to all sorts of kinds of things. The path is a file name and location of the actual web page. So index.html or contact.html, that's the path. So let's talk about buying web hosting. So when you're looking for a web host to buy, you want to first check for server reliability. So uptime is the amount of time your website is actually up online and not down. So you want it to be above 99.5%, which sounds like a lot already, but you want to have something at least over 99.5. You want to have customer service in the form of 24/7 support, and I like live chat so you can get things fixed quickly. So look for whatever customer service they have. You want to have regular data backups. So if they back it up nightly, which is great, you back up weekly, you want to check how frequent it is. If it's not very frequently, then if your site goes down and it needs to be restored, you want to have constant, frequent backups. Check for the renewal charges. The first year prices are usually pretty good, and you have to watch out for year 2 though. So maybe, ooh, we have a sale, $8.99 a month or something for the first year, but then after a year it jumps up to a higher price, so you want to watch out for that. You want the ability to add multiple domains. So as your site grows, you may need multiple domains for your single web hosting account. If you have different things, different projects you want to add, you want the ability to add multiple domains to your site. You want to look at the account limitations. So are there extra charges for high website traffic? You should be so lucky that you have an influx of people that want to look at your website, and that your server could crash and get charged extra. So you want to check that when you're shopping around. If there's high website traffic, do you have to pay extra? If you plan on selling things on your site, you may need e-commerce features, which usually have an additional cost. So it's something else to keep in mind when you're shopping around. Does a web host offer email? Your own personalized email address can be attractive. I know when I was getting started, I wanted to have my own email address. So I do have write@writesandnearest.com, and I put that on my resume. And in my own personal experience, I've used Bluehost, which is a big, long time web host. And I've also used a smallorange.com, which is a smaller outfit. They're both good. Something else to look for is storage space. So you'll see offers for unlimited. Bluehost offers unlimited hosting. I get 5 GB from a small orange. Get the storage space that you need. You want to look at bandwidth. So this is the upstream bandwidth and downstream bandwidth, which is to say how much data is going to and from your web host. At Bluehost, I have unmetered bandwidth, but at a small orange, I have 50 gigabytes of bandwidth. So any more than that, then I get charged extra. I haven't had that problem yet. 50 gigabytes is a lot. And I don't have a high traffic website anyway, so my bandwidth is reasonable. So a word about unlimited hosting. It sounds like a great deal, and usually it is. But most unlimited hosting means that you share server space with other accounts. So there are advantages in that it's cheaper usually to share space with other accounts. So that's why they can offer unlimited accounts. You can buy your own dedicated server space. So you have one server all to yourself that you don't share with anyone else, but that costs a little extra. And so everything is a cost benefit analysis. So do your homework and shop around if you want unlimited hosting. Sometimes the risk with having shared hosting with other accounts that aren't related to you, if something goes down in that side of the server, it may affect your side of the server. So again, cost benefit analysis. So now that you've been shopping around for a web host, what to look for now in a domain name. So first, don't buy your domain name from your web host, even though you can do it. Because if you ever want to switch web hosts, it can be hard to take the domain name with you. It may cost you extra money to transfer your domain name when you end your contract with the web host. So you want to buy them from separate places so that you're not stuck in one place. So buy your domain name from a separate service. There are many out there. I like Namecheap.com. I don't get paid by them or anything. I just like their service. And then in Namecheap, you can point your domain name to your web hosting or wherever you buy your domain name so that you can keep them separate. Sometimes you can get a free domain name when you buy web hosting, which is nice. But I wouldn't choose something that you'd hate to give up if you had to change web hosts. And sometimes that free domain name is only free for a year or something like that. So make sure you carefully check the stipulations. So another way to host a website, and what we're going to do because it's free, is to use GitHub and GitHub Pages. I'll explain what GitHub and Git is in a second here. But instead of going through a web host, the more conventional one, I wasn't able to line up one that I liked that had a free option for students. So we're going to do the GitHub version. Use GitHub Pages as a web host and to get our code on the web. So that'll be the next video. So let's do that.